Hey, hi, hello. My name is Birdie, and welcome to my tiny corner of the internet. Before anything else, I need to tell you all that I don't normally speak when it comes to the content that I create, so please bear with me as I become more comfortable with this new style of content creation. Also, please excuse my voice. I do have a lot of vocal fry. When I'm not doing this, I am a vocalist, I am a musician, so please just excuse that. I know some people hate vocal fry in voices. I also want to say thank you for over 100 subscribers on this channel, and a huge thank you to everyone who came over from TikTok and subscribed right away before I even had a single video up on this channel. I really never expected that response, and it just really means a lot to me. I also want to mention that this video will not be centered around gameplay and will be more focused on me explaining my storyline, my sims, and my style of gameplay. That way you'll know right away if I'm a simmer that you would enjoy watching. So for my gameplay style, I am a slow burn simmer, which means I just really like to take my time with my gameplay. I get really attached to my sims and I don't like to rush any aspect of their lives. So I follow a pretty realistic life cycle with them as well, in which their birthdays typically follow the year and what season they were born in. I also don't like to age them up in the way that the game does, so they'll typically have multiple birthdays within one life stage. I like to play out realistic and relatable scenarios in my game, and I have my Sims earn money in the way that we would in real life. So my Sims earn money from their jobs, buy what they can afford, and so on and so forth. If a family moves within my game, they keep the furniture they have at the time, and they only upgrade things when they can afford to. So if you enjoy that style of gameplay, or that's also how you play your game, then hopefully you will enjoy this channel. But anyway, let's move on to meeting the Sims who will be in this gameplay. So grab a blanket, get cozy, and let me tell you a story. If you are from my TikTok, then you already know who my Sims are, but if you're new here or you just want to learn a little bit more about them, let me go ahead and introduce you to my first Sim, and the Sim that started my whole series. Meet Odessa Howell. She is the daughter of Lou Howell, but she's not a werewolf. I removed his werewolf trait a long time ago because I personally don't play with occults. She is almost 20 years old, and she just moved back to Copperdale with her daughters to live with her parents again after living in San Myshuno for the last 2 years. She was born on December 14th, making her a Sagittarius, and she's a very hot-headed sim. She's a clubber and a party animal, and she has become very jaded over her lifetime, and she's also starting to develop a bad reputation. Her lifestyles are adrenaline seeker and hungry for love. Odessa doesn't have very many hobbies in her life unless you count partying, drinking, or smoking, and she's currently unemployed, just living with her parents. Her aspiration is Renaissance Sim, but that's only because nothing else fit her or her personality. So anyway, let's get into her backstory and learn even more about her. Odessa was born in San Sequoia and was the second daughter in her family. In her early teens, her family moved to Copperdale for her and her siblings to go to better schools. She became a bit of a problem child after her little brother was born, but her parents chalked it up to her just being the middle child. But we'll find out later on that it was way more than that. Around the time Odessa turned 15 is when things really took a turn for the worse. She got involved with Donovan, a very troubled sim who would manipulate and cheat on her throughout their entire relationship. Meanwhile, she thought she had found her true love. After a heart-shattering breakup with Donovan, Odessa would turn to a mutual friend of theirs named Gabriel for comfort, but in reality, it was to try and make Donovan jealous enough that he would take her back. However, this would backfire on her, and only a few months into seeing Gabe, she would become pregnant. This would send her life into a downward spiral. She would soon be expelled from school, kicked out of her home by her father who had finally had enough of her actions, and then she would bring a daughter into this world that she never wanted with a man she never actually wanted to be with. Now, 2 years later, after a web of lies quickly unraveled after the birth of her second child, Odessa has found herself back in the home where all of this began, facing the consequences of her actions. Next up in my series is Donovan Sepulveda. He is 23 years old and his birthday is May 29th, making him a Gemini. He is a cunning sim, he is a heartless sim, and he is a non-committal sim. And just like Odessa, he has a clubber and party animal mindset. His lifestyles are single and loving it, and adrenaline seeker, and he can very easily be described as being self-absorbed and uncaring. Currently, he works as a bartender in San Myshuno, and his aspiration is serial romantic. But Donovan has a pretty interesting backstory, so let's learn about how he became who he is now. Donovan was born in Del Sol Valley to a low-income family, and he is what you would call an accident baby. His parents, already having 2 boys before him, were not planning on having a third, but nonetheless, Donovan was brought into the world. Now, with 3 children to raise and already working as hard as they can, Donovan's parents had to work even harder to keep food on the table. With how absent his parents became, that left only his older brothers to raise him, which started to cause a lot of tension between the 3 boys. The older brothers felt like they were missing out on too much of their teen years, such as partying, drinking, and the like, so they began to just bring Donovan along with them. His parents were never around, so what difference would it make anyway? This caused Donovan to be exposed to a lot of things way too young in his life. He learned how to fight, how to get his hands on things like cigarettes, alcohol, and other illicit substances, and more importantly, he began to learn how to use his looks to get whatever he wanted from whoever he wanted. Later on in life, not long after Donovan's brothers moved out, he would be caught doing something he shouldn't for the last time, and his parents, fed up with him, would ship him off to live with his grandmother in Copperdale in hopes that a better environment, more supervision, and a different school system entirely would help change his behavior. But Donovan knew all too well how to manipulate, and these behaviors continued, and they continued long after he would meet Odessa. Next up, we have everybody's favorite, Gabriel River. He is a pretty introverted guy, and it takes him a while to really warm up to other Sims. He is a shy and warm-hearted savant with a very loyal way about him. His birthday is September 26th, which makes him a Libra. His lifestyles are close-knit and indoorsy. He is a musician, and he is a disc jockey at a local radio station. And he is very skilled in guitar, piano, and vocals, and his aspiration is to be the best father he can be. So with that, let's get into his backstory. Out of all the Sims in my series at this point, Gabriel has the most upsetting backstory in my opinion. In his 22 years of life, he has lived all over. He was born in Brindleton Bay, and his mother left early on in his life when he was around 3 or 4 years old, leaving his father to raise him all on his own. Gabriel has not seen his mother since the day she left. Around the age of 13, Gabriel's father became sick and passed away unexpectedly, resulting in Gabriel's uncle, his father's only brother, whisking him away to Copperdale to take care of him and to raise him to the best of his ability. Following the passing of his father, Gabriel began to isolate and close in on himself, but he slowly began to integrate into a new friend group where he would meet his now ex-fiancée Odessa. He and Odessa would become pregnant shortly after they started dating at the ages of 17 and 19, and Gabriel, happy to have a little family of his own, would propose to Odessa shortly after they moved to San Myshuno. They moved to the city to be closer to better job opportunities than what Copperdale had to offer, since he was the only one working. They would welcome their daughter Noah into the world, and 2 years after Noah was born, Odessa would become pregnant again. But unfortunately, this baby was not Gabriel's, and things would quickly begin to spiral out of control. So now, on his own, Gabriel lives in Evergreen Harbor in Grimm's Quarry, and this was a very difficult choice to make, but a necessary one in order to remain close to both his job and his daughter, who was taken away from him. Last but not least, we have the little ones. This is Noah and Shiloh. You already know and love Noah if you've been keeping up with me on TikTok, but Shiloh is very new to this series. Noah is an angelic and absolute sweetheart of a toddler. She is 2 years old, being born on April 3rd, making her a headstrong little Aries. She's just a little love bug who sleeps well, and she's ready to play the moment she wakes up. Then we have little 3-month-old baby Shiloh. She was born on November 1st, making her a Scorpio. Shiloh is much different than Noah. She's very cautious, she's very scared of everything, and the only people she really enjoys being around was, for one, Gabriel, and also her grandparents. She's starting to warm up to her aunt and her uncle, but the one sim that she is absolutely happy and calm to be around is her big sister Noah. There's really not much to their backstories at this time, as their little lives have only just begun, but you'll get to come with them on their journeys through this Let's Play to see how their lives unfold. We've now met the main Sims in this series, and I know it may have gotten just a little bit confusing since we aren't starting at the very beginning of this Let's Play series, but after an entire season and era of their lives has already passed. But more and more will be explained as this series goes on. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you hanging out with me and learning about my Sims. And if you're interested in seeing how their lives pan out and how this storyline progresses, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, or you can follow me over on my TikTok if you'd rather watch only the machinimas. But I will catch you next time for another story.